Hey, good morning. Granny Gear here. Well, the sun just came out, which is good because it was cold this morning and I'm going on a kind of an ambitious ride. I've got a fairly big event next weekend, trying to get some miles in for, despite the snow and the rain and the winter cataclysm that Southern California's had recently. You know, when it gets below 50 degrees, we Southern Californians, we just stay indoors, so I'm risking a lot here. What I'm taking with me today is what I think I'm going to call it the world's largest bicycle water bottle. The Trek Voda 34. Got a sample in the mail the other day. I'm going to throw it on, I'll show you later here. I'll throw it on my bike with one of their cages that they supplied to me so nicely. I'm going to take it and along the ride at some point I'll give my thoughts on it, what I think it might be good or bad for. In the meantime, let's go ride. Wow, let's take a break here. I'll turn the camera on, I'll show you kind of where I am, where I've come from. Kind of going, well, and this is where I'm going. Yeah, looks a little cold and cloudy. That's okay. I think we'll survive. So let's talk a little bit about this Voda 34, this giant of a water bottle, this Goliath water bottle. First of all, why would you want such a thing? Well, that's a good question. And I guess it really comes down to water capacity. How much water can you carry, right? If you are limited in cages on your bike, or even if you're not, you can still only put one bottle in them. Well, this is the equivalent of putting two bottles in them, or at least two small bottles in there. They're pretty close to it. I haven't actually measured it, but I think that's the idea. And it has a lot of value. Sometimes, you know, you just can't have enough water on some rides, and that's pretty cool. But on the other hand, you have to realize that there are a lot of places where you could put a water bottle, it just won't fit. There's the rub, because it's a big dog. Now on my Linsky, which is a large, it's a 57-ish, has a fairly sloping top tube. It will fit in both cages, both the top tube and seat tube, or down tube and seat tube cages, but not with my bag on there. It'll only fit on the down tube cage with my bag on there, and I always have my bag on here. I don't want to ride without it. Well, it does fit there, but it does rub just slightly on the bag, but it does fit there. It doesn't fit on the seat tube mounted cage unless I took the bag off. So even on my big bike, sort of fits and sort of doesn't. And you have to realize, the smaller the bike, the less chance you have of that fitting in there. As your frame shrinks, everything is compact in there, and there'll be more and more chances it just isn't going to fit. How about underneath? Say you have a third bottle cage underneath the down tube. Well, I'm not sure. I don't have that on any of my bikes, so it's kind of hard for me to know. But I think maybe at some point, would you run into the fact where the bottle is getting too close to the tire? I don't know. I'll have to play with that later and see if I can come to some ideas about that. Meanwhile, up we go. I don't know if you can hear that or not in that gully behind me. That's the sound of a waterfall. Southern California, we don't have waterfalls. Whew. Well, my plan was to go that way, climb about another 1,000 feet or so. But right now where I am, I don't know if you can see the trees moving here. It's the wind's really come up. It's 37 degrees. I'm thinking up there, that's the top of a mountain. It's LA County Fire Camp 9. It's exposed to the wind completely. I don't know, it would probably be 32, 34 degrees up there, and it's completely under the clouds. So I think I'm not going to do that. But in the meantime, the Voda. Thoughts on the Voda. How have I been using it today? Well, I'll turn around and show you. So you can see I have it in my main cage and I just have water in it. That's all. This has the Element drink mix in it. And what I've been doing, well, my plan was, right, was to use the Voda as my reservoir, so to speak, and put the mix in my small bottle. And that way, when I want another bottle of mix, I can take the Voda, dump it in there, put my mix in, I'm good to go. I don't know if I would prefer ever to have mix or a drink in this big bottle, because I kind of like to be able to take a sip of each. Usually with 2 bottles, one's got a mix and one doesn't. So there is that. So the other thing that when Trek sent me this, they did something I thought was slightly odd. Now you can see here, it's a side mount cage or side pull cage, side out cage, side something. It allows you to take the bottle and come out that way with it, right? Which completely makes sense for a big bottle, because you probably can't lift it straight out enough to get it out of there. The thing is, it's a right-handed cage, and I would have to have a left-handed cage, because if I'm going to be riding along and take one hand off the bars to drink, I don't want the hand on the bars to be my front brake, because if I've got to make any kind of emergency move, I don't want to be grabbing my front brake hard with one hand on the bars. However, these cages, you can get them left and right hand, so that's not a big deal. Now here's another thing to think about though. This bottle is heavy. You figure it's twice the weight of a bottle, and it's leveraged out further away from your cage. I don't know. I'm going to go down a pretty bumpy road, I think now. I wasn't planning on it, but I think it's going to end up bumpy. We'll see if it stays in. But I would make sure that your cage, whatever you're using for this, it better be pretty stout, because otherwise I'm wondering if this would just be a little bit too much. But we shall see. I think I'm going to go down now because it's cold. I found coffee, and hopefully that'll warm me up a little bit. That was a cold descent. It was a rough one too, a lot of ruts in the road, and this bottle actually stayed in the cage, so that's something, right? You got to be kidding me. Well, I found coffee, as you can see. I'm trying to warm up a little bit, and it was cold up there. That was a rough descent too. But you know what? This big old tall lanky bottle stayed in the cage, so that's something. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Either it's going to be useful for you or useless, depending upon whether it'll fit anywhere on your bike or not. But you know what? Kudos to Trek for the Voda 34. It's kind of, I was going to say thinking out of the box, but really they're thinking out of the bottle, right? That's pretty cool. Another thing that made me chuckle is there's 3 different graphic packages that I got, 3 different bottles. There's at least 3 anyway. One of them, this one says ride bikes, have fun, feel good. That's pretty awesome, right? But one of them has an ingredients label on it, like, you know, something would say how many calories, how much sugar, how much salt, fat, you know, whatever, that type of thing. And I thought, it's a plastic bottle. Well, they're all 0. I don't know, made me laugh. It did make me laugh just now. Anyway, kudos to Trek for this. Got me through this ride with water to spare. Anyway, thanks to Trek again for sending this out. Granny gear out for this old guy in a bike. I'm going to finish this coffee and go about 10 miles to get home, and I think I'll be warmer once I do that. All right, you guys take care.